Behind these bones and bloody tools lies the smiling face of a killer clown. The story begins in a small, dimly lit house. A child hides in the corner as glass shatters and drunken footsteps echo across the floorboards. His father's rage pours out with every bottle, and his mother's screams cut through the night like broken glass. A slap, a cry. The walls of the house were not painted with color, but with fear. But fear alone doesn't tell the whole story, because when the neighbors saw the family in the daylight, they only noticed the father's Sunday suit and the mother's polite smile. They never saw the bruises that faded too quickly, or the silence that grew too heavy for a small boy. Some say trauma shapes monsters, but what if the real horror is not what trauma creates, but what it quietly allows to grow in the dark? Years passed, and the frightened boy grew into a man the community thought they could trust. In the daylight, John Wayne Gacy wore fine suits and shook hands with politicians. He joined local organizations, smiled in photographs, and even dined with those in power. To his neighbors, he was a model citizen, but a model is only a mask. At night, the mask slipped. Beneath his suburban home, a hidden crawl space whispered with secrets no one could hear. Down there, the air was heavy, the walls damp, and the silence broken only by muffled cries. Tools lay in the shadow, waiting for his hand. Some said it was just storage, but why? Did the ground beneath that house feel like it was breathing? But still, there was another mask. A painted smile, a red nose, and bright clothes that belonged not to a politician, but to Pogo the clown. Children laughed when he danced at parties, their eyes sparkling as balloons floated into the air. The parents clapped too. After all, how dangerous could a clown be? But the darker question is not what John Gacy showed the world, it is what the world refused to see. He had a trick, a simple promise that never raised suspicion. Gacy told boys he could show them magic, handcuffs, ropes, little illusion that made him laugh like a friend. They followed him home, thinking it was just a game, but once the cuffs clicked shut, the laughter stopped. The room grew smaller and the air colder, and the trick was no longer fun. He called it the handcuff game, a performance only he could control. The key was always in his pocket, and the boys learned too late that escape was never part of the show. Some neighbors remembered hearing faint knocks from inside his house, but they said nothing. After all, Gacy was the friendly clown, the man who gave children balloons. But behind every balloon, behind every painted smile, there was a secret no one dared to question. Deep beneath the floorboards, his crawl space was more than just a hiding place. It was a shrine of horror, faded symbols painted on rotting wood, crude idols standing guard over piles of broken bones, tiny skulls too small to belong to a grown man. Scattered among the dirt, the smell of death clung to the walls, while objects of twisted ritual hinted at something darker than murder alone. This wasn't just a graveyard, it was a temple to secrets the world was never to uncover. Beneath the creaking house, the basement was a world of rot and silence. Thick cobwebs clung to every corner, shrouding rusted tools that dripped with stains too dark to name. Rats darted between cracked bones, and the stench of blood and decay hung heavy in the air. A smell so thick it clung to your throat. Victims were not just buried here, they were kept. Their lives ended in screams that the walls still seemed to remember. Each shadow looked alive, whispering of the horrors that once took place. But while this nightmare unfolded in secret, one man began to sense the cracks in JC's perfect mask. A detective circling closer, walking past the house at night, feeling something was wrong, yet finding nothing he could prove. Every step brought him near to the truth, but not close enough. Then, a question. Is he walking home? or walking straight into the arms of a monster. Part 2 reveals the truth. Subscribe now, or you'll never know.